Week 2. It's much busier this week. It's been a crazy week, honestly. Not just for me, but for the tech world, apparently. Avast, apparently. And Facebook, and yeah, lots of good stuff this week. It's time for the Surveillance Report, episode 2. Freeing antiviruses have clearly always been a shot in the dark when it comes to your privacy, and Avast last month was kind of found guilty of this. After Avast was caught harvesting user web traffic and selling it to a company without customers being aware, Avast has decided to archive this data until it figures out what to do with it. They seem to be unsure on what to do to remain compliant with CCPA and GDPR. Who's listening anymore, Avast? It's hard to believe what you say after such big screw-ups. The moral of the story here, don't use free services that seem too good to be true. If you're not the, if you're not the, I don't know. Shortly after this all happened, the Czech Data Protection Authority announced an investigation into Avast. We will be following Avast and seeing where it leads them. I don't see it heading in good directions at this point. Facebook is back in the news, and it's expectedly not pro-privacy or pro-Facebook even. This time it's Facebook's dating service, which has been blocked in Europe because they didn't give a proper warning and they failed to demonstrate an assessment of privacy risks. Facebook has been slowly trying to roll this out around the world, but the Irish Data Protection Agency has said no, not here. Mozilla has officially announced the slow phase-out of TLS 1.0 and 1.1 in their browsers. Firefox Nightly has actually implemented this for some time now, but it seems Firefox Beta has now inherited it, meaning it'll be in your standard Firefox installation pretty soon. Now, a user can still manually override the TLS restriction, and I've already had to do that because my university thinks it's a good idea to use TLS 1.1 to handle our grades. Google has removed the Password Manager Dashlane's extension from the Chrome Web Store because it was accessing too many permissions for its functionality. However, after no changes, Google changed their mind, and Dashlane is once again live. Other extensions like LastPass have much less intrusive permission requests, so what gives here? Even LastPass, I have a hard time recommending, but it seems their extension's better than Dashlane's. Now, I have some research. So, research time that may convince you again to remove your extensions. Researchers found more than 500 Chrome extensions that have been secretly uploading private data from millions of users as part of an ad fraud and malvertising network. All of these were done under the user's nose without much reason for concern while they collected the information about them. In summary, remove that extension you haven't used in the last 5 years and tell your boomer family that when they have their 30 different extensions in their browser, one for every little possible thing they can imagine, they shouldn't do that. Now, some research news about Mac OS from Malwarebytes, who has come out saying the number of threat detections on Macs was higher than Windows in 2019. Now, most of these threats were much smaller than their Windows counterparts, but it's still showing a trend of more attacks happening on Mac OS. Yeah, Macs get viruses, and there are people out there that still think that Macs don't get viruses. Shame on you, Apple, and your shady marketing and everything you do to try to hide your security and privacy issues, which don't exist. Researchers from MIT have created a software called TextFooler, which can trick voice systems like Siri, Alexa, and Google Voice to misunderstand text by replacing words in a sentence with synonyms. It's pretty much like my AP English 11 class. The idea here is this is an adversarial attack where tiny changes to input can completely fool an AI. This is all good though, as TextFooler is making these systems more robust by revealing their weaknesses. Let's hope. I hope MIT has our best interests. New cybersecurity research has found ways to covertly exfiltrate data from a physically isolated air-gapped computer that can't connect wirelessly or physically with other computers or networks. It's kind of crazy, but if you actually look at the article and if you actually watch the video, which makes it it just really makes it make a lot of sense. This is a very sophisticated attack that relies on making subtle changes to screen brightness, and their video explains, like I said, how it's performed very well. Luckily, you probably won't have to worry about this affecting you anytime soon, but if anyone here is watching with some pretty nasty enemies, you've been warned. Politics. Iran was recently hit by a huge cyber attack which took down 25% of their internet. It seems to be another DDoS attack. Nothing too special about this. Blame the script kiddies. Let's move on to the next news article. The US has stepped up to Huawei yet again and said they can prove Huawei has backdoor access to mobile phone networks. Unfortunately, they just said they can prove. They haven't actually proved anything yet. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of taking the US's word here. And it seems the US is only concerned about backdoors when they're the ones not making them, which is just a pleasant thought. The voting website used by Israel's ruling party has leaked personal data of all 6.5 million voters. This was because of a basic administrative setup issue that allowed anyone to essentially access the admin user's database with voter names, identity card numbers, addresses, numbers, and more just by inspecting elements on the website and digging through some source code. So, yes, you can actually, just like that middle school friend I used to have, hack into things by just inspecting element. Yeah, it's possible. We're not ready for digital voting. We're just not. It's not going to be ready for a long time. Maybe never. So we need to just stop. Okay, technology's gone too far. Voting and digital life just does not get along. When are we gonna learn this? In the US, a Philadelphia man who refused to decrypt his hard drives is free after 4 years of being in jail. The exciting part is the court held that jail time to force decryption can't last more than 18 months, which is reassuring for individual privacy and liberty in the US, as this has been a pretty common complaint. In the US, the Department of Homeland Security normally needs to obtain a search warrant to, access data and information about a suspect. Well, no more, as there's a neat workaround which allows the DHS to use data purchased from private marketing companies to generate law enforcement leads instead, especially in pursuit of phone location data. This is seriously bad. In the US again, a new Senate bill is hoping to finally create a US data protection agency, so we are finally not left behind on the list of other countries like Venezuela and Syria who do not also have a data protection agency. This would be a huge move against major tech companies who have been trying to keep their claws tight on politics in the US. So we're seeing some good stuff happen here. Let's hope to see it go through to the end. Lots of politics this week. Sorry, it's almost all from the US, so all you Australians and Europeans watching, and China. You don't have to tell me you're from China watching, but I know there's some of you watching that are from China. You don't show up in my analytics, but I know you're there. But lots of politics this week. The last piece on the US Department of Defense, whose web server had a cryptocurrency mining botnet on it. This was discovered after finding out anyone could access their server without login credentials, which was then used to install the mining botnet. And finally, to finish out, we have our Misfits of the week. Facebook's Twitter and Instagram accounts were hacked by Our Mine? What kind of name? This was all done using a third-party service called Koros. So, yeah. If this doesn't convince you to delete your Facebook account, maybe the next article will. Sacha Baron Cohen, famous actor who played, his Borat, but his most well-known performance of King Julian, has been on a tweet frenzy attacking Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook for being terrible. Mort, or Elon Musk, then responded to one of his tweets saying, "It's lame," and throwing it in a solid hashtag delete Facebook. I should have worn my delete Facebook Zuckerberg shirt. You should buy that on our merch store. If King Julian is telling you to delete Facebook, can you really say no? That's my philosophical question for the day. Can you say no? And that's it, peoples. This was a busy week. Let's hope next week is less work and all positive news. If anything bad happens, it's your fault for not wishing hard enough and not liking this video. See you next week.